And now we need to count printing order. Or actually, let's say merging order. So now what we need to do is we need to take all the blocks and merge them into the TR order, or whatever that one was that we had. Yeah, this TR blocks. So for I equals 0, I is less than TR blocks dot size I plus plus. Then we have to go through each, so it's going to be a double nested on this one. For I2 equals 0, I2 is less than TR blocks dot at I dot size and I2 plus plus. So TR order dot at dot pushback TR blocks dot at I dot that kind of looks kind of strange. I wonder if it'll compile. TR blocks. Supposed to be RT blocks. Let's got a problem there. That seems to have worked. I think that we have to use V strings to access it. Let's build it with that and see what happens. Error. Values no type v. Yeah, so I guess it is just dot at I2. Well, alright. We'll see what happens. Build it. Run it. 36. Merging orders and done. Alright, so it didn't crash. Of course, we don't know if it actually worked or not either. Count. All this code just to add one little thing into the game. It's just insanity, really. Alright, let's see what happens. That didn't quite work, did it? I really want to do this one. 36. Couldn't find very interesting. Let's see. Maybe I don't have it defined correctly. Let's see. Temp, pushback I, buff, pushback temp. Ah, okay. Now to print it though. Okay. So same thing, but then just interesting though, they're using those like array element iterators instead of the .at iterators. I guess you can go RT order this I dot at whatever. Alright, so when we're actually adding them in, we're doing so incorrectly in both cases. So well, that's right, but then we also have to push back. We have to do a pushback on that though, because we look at what we're doing here, you have a temp vector int, and you want to go through and add all the stuff to that, and then do a pushback on that. So essentially, that's what we want to do here. Is just to create a. No, that should work then. No, that should work, because vstrings is an empty vector of strings. And we're putting a vector of strings into a vector of strings, or a vector of vector elements. But I think it's down here where it's not working properly. So RT blocks. So instead of done at, we should be using this, I believe. I also want to check this out though and make sure it's working correctly. To start of block. So I may or may not have had to have done this, but I was going to do it anyway, just to make sure things are, then we got the whole other section to do now. Just make sure things are being done the same throughout. Consistency is a great thing. Also helps you deal with errors if there are any. So you don't have to consider whether or not your use of two different versions of how things work is what's the problem or not. How the two different versions of the code, if you have the code written, might be generating the problem or not. Let's see. I think if Pascal was alive today, he'd gawk at creating a program like this to do something as simple as just taking pieces of paper, numbering them, and sticking them in two different containers to pull out randomly. But hey, it's a challenge. And I like a good challenge anyway. Helps keep the brain from rotting. Alright, now, for this part, we have to do things differently, I believe. So, .at, this might be where the problem was at. .at I2. So, no errors. Lots of warnings though. That's typical of code that I write. So, 36. Let's start with a general number here. Alright, merging. So now. So what the hell just happened? So RT blocks. I guess what we really need to do is look up here and see what's going on with the adding of things. I never did hit this, so did it? True. So what the hell? Let's see. Let's make sure we're hitting all these if statements. Alright, so I5 is 1. F block is on. I4 is 2. So value is even. So IRAND is 1. EPICT is 2. So OPICT should be 3. Or no, wait, we're doing OPICT. So OPICT 1, EPICT 2. So now evens dot at EPICT minus 1. I don't know why the hell it's doing that for. Well, that sucks. The debugger doesn't allow you to do stuff like that, huh? At least Microsoft Visual Studio doesn't cause the program to crash. the hell's with that? So you can't actually see what's inside of them. That's strange. So 1, 3, 5, all the way up to whatever value. You can't see everything. Okay. Well, anyway, continue. Continue, continue. So 16. So 33 was, or 33 was picked, and then 33 is the next one. Of course, C-scope can't actually see into it, so there's a problem there. I may just take this and load it into Visual Studio just to check things out. Let me stop recording for a while here, and we'll start up again later. Probably in a couple hours or so. Just need to take a little bit of a break, rest my mind, because I'm starting to get a headache from all this crap, so I'll be back in a little while, and we'll see what happens, if we can get this to work or not. Alright, we're back to continue. Let me get this thing adjusted properly. Back to continue the recording for this. This has become kind of a mission, if you will. I'm a coder on a mission now, programmer on a mission, and by God, I'm not going to stop recording this until we get it to work right. Because now it's become, something that's really going to be interesting to finish, and I think you should be able to see the whole process of how things are made from beginning to end when you make something like this, and based on a real world thing like roulette. So where we left off at was debugging this thing, and I decided that we're going to move it over here because CodeBlocks' C-scope cannot deal with vectors very well, so that's something that Visual Studio can deal with, though. So we're going to go ahead and put in some, well, not here, but we will put them in down here. You can tell the green that we have on this one's a little more darker shade of green than the one I'm using right now on CodeBlocks. There's no real reason for why I didn't go for the exact same, other than just change the pace. I wanted to be a bit different from what we had set up. They had set up here for the color scheme for Visual Studio. Plus, there's some things like these foreign-ifs and all that I don't think you can set on CodeBlocks, or at least I haven't figured out how to yet. We'll just do the first couple there. Alright, let's go ahead and build it. First, let's put it on as a startup project. We'll build it. Succeeded, no fails, so we will do a debugging. Alright, so number 36. Okay. And yes, continue. Now. See, now we actually have something in here. The interesting part is, though, that's actually not correct. Huh. Orders. Or rather, it's not putting in the right stuff. So pushback R plus O picked is what it should have done. Instead, what it put in was orders from wherever that came from. B plus 24. So I think what we'll do is, since it's stopped, we'll do this. We'll go up here and we'll create the string first. So let's create a new string object or variable. String, we'll call it string element. And for string element, what we'll do is at the beginning of these, I also want to, let me see, let's go, where is that spot at? This. I also want to check that out, because it seemed like there was one too many elements or something. Anyway, but for this, instead of doing this here, we'll actually do element equals B plus E picked. And then we'll put elements in here. Like so. And do the same here. And I guess we'll have to do the same thing here. And we'll see how this works. Instead. Alright, load her up. Alright, 36. Alright, so now what I want to do is I want to track the... That's interesting. Oh, see, these are auto watches. Interesting. So, Visual Studio does do this too. Has automatic watches for whatever's in range, except what it does with this is it only does those that are in the current range. It doesn't do everything like Code Blocks does. So what I want to watch is, actually go back to autos, I want to watch the size of RT blocks here. So size 1, 0, which has a capacity of nothing because there's nothing been added yet. So that should only go up to 2, I believe. Yeah. Alright. That's correct. Size 2. That's good. So E picked is 28, I5, 6, and I6 is 1. Or 1 for both of those. So, hit back. Alright, now... So... That's interesting. Alright, so this was interesting too. So G 4 zeros. It should only have been 1 0. Let's go -1 on that. So B0 equals 0. So actually, we want to have this probably be nothing. And we'll just tag it on with that. And then what we'll say is if I6 is greater than 0. And only do this if I6 is over. Well, actually, no. If we do that, then we have to leave this the way it is. So, only if if I6 is greater than 0, will this add on another 0. So that'll fix that problem. Now the other thing was RS. Why RS? The element should be, well, it's stop and rebuild. Start again. 36. Okay, we don't need that anymore. Continue. Yes. Alright, so okay, we're actually not on that particular one. Gotcha. So, let's make these changes down here where it's actually going to be interacting with. Let me see, let's run this again and figure out. Okay, stop. So that is where we want it to be at. Actually, we could just take the code we added up here, copy it down there, because it's all the same. There's no difference between whether it's odd or even. Alright, let's go ahead and run this now. Alright, so element name is, so E picked should be 20 plus B should be B space. That's interesting. Let's add a let me see. Converts. We want to go -2 string. A toll. String, no, it's string to int. We want to go int to string. I guess we just go string. rather not do that, but if we have to, I'll do it. Let's see, file open, projects. We're looking for database, I think. Should be at the bottom. Yeah. So we'll just create another function here. The little prototype. First we'll take that off. String 2. So that we're not calling toString. We'll also need to add stream up here. Now back down here, that should be -1. Now for epics, we want to take epics and put that around the put toString around it. So toString 2. Now we should see that work. Let's check that. Okay, that's good now. Works too. So compile. Failed. Why have thou failed? And where the hell's all the other things? I wish this damn thing would stop resetting its the list of things down here. It's really freaking annoying. toString 2 identifier not found. How's that? Oh, we've got to get the 2 up here. Dirt. Alright, so F5. Okay, that works now. So we had to actually toString it in order to put it into that string. To make it a string, because otherwise it's actually an int. And you can't concatenate an int to a string. It only works with strings or characters. Well, that's not really true though. Maybe it's true for C++ though. But I know like in Java and I think maybe in C# you can do that with non-strings too. If I recall it correctly anyway. So let's have a go through this once and we'll see what the value is now. And it's actually putting them in the correct places. Sweet, it works. Black 34. So now if we check it again, now see, this time it didn't actually do it right. Actually, that part we have an issue with. So a block equals this. Okay, so that should not be -1. Let's see, RT_blocks.size is 2. Divided by 2 is 1 plus I6. I see. So you know, we don't want to subtract 1 from this. We want this to be 1. Because this is going to be a 0 indexed thing. And so If we subtract 1 from it, we're saying 0, but we want to be in 1. But the other question is... Oh, that's because we didn't need the 2 string. Yeah, okay, gotcha. It all makes sense now. 2 string 3. Alright, now let's retry it. So now it should be correct. Booyah. Oh yeah. No space, but we'll add that. Hells yeah. Hells to the yeah. Okay, so we just need to put all these changes in. See, this is why this is so annoying, because now I have to come back in here to work with certain things, because I actually made a comment about how C-scope doesn't, or not a comment, but a bug report. On how it doesn't work. What is the name of that website? Barely OS. So nothing yet. Interesting. Well, it takes them a while to get into them, as you can see. Since the 22nd, there's nothing been worked on really, so probably maybe working on a new version of CB, or they're working on one of these other bugs that are taking a long time to get through. Either way, or maybe they haven't had anything happen to them at all. So it all shows open pretty much. Huh. Well, we'll see what happens with it. So let's go ahead and make these changes to everything else here. All the other ones. We can just take this. I'll take both of these. And add them here. So let's put the thing there. Actually, we could just take that whole block and copy paste it. All we'd have to change is the BNR and the ENO. So this one should be O, and this one should be E. This is what it looked like. And that is what it was. Huh. So, EOBR. So actually those are correct, EOBR. We do want to also make sure we change that too. Lots of little changes to make. luckily, won't be too hard to do so. We'll deal with the O bits later. So EOBR, which is how those are lined up. OERB. So essentially we want to flip them around from how they are here. O R E B. Alright, so this is for evens. So it should be E-B-E-R-O, then R-E-B-O. Now down here, though, this is where it should be odd. So it should be O-E all the time, but then changing the R-B, so it should be R-O-B-E, then B-O-R-E. So actually, these are backwards. That would cause a problem. Else if block is odd, and actually this should be moved around. This should be 2. And this should be 1. Fixing a little problem here. On this one we were interesting. That's right, it gets incremented automatically. So we don't have to do that here. We do have to move that down here, though. Alright, now, if block is odd, start with odd. So O-E-B-R, then it should be O-E-R-B. Instead what I did with these is I just flipped the, just put the O at the bottom instead of the top, which actually would have been incorrect. And then if it's even, E-O-R-B-R, and then E-O-R-B. So that's correct. So checking this again, so we're on the odd section. O-E-R-B, O-E-B-R, that's correct. And the even section of the even block. B-R-E-O and RBEU. Alright, so we fixed that problem too. Now we need to do the changing, checking, whatever you want to call it, for all the O generation stuff. So I already had that there. Now I'm going to check all these for negative I5 minus 1, just to make sure those are being done correctly too. Okay, I'm missing one here. As I say, I bet they're missing them in a lot of places then. Or at least anywhere above there. So, that should be good. I'll just copy this real quick. Now we're going to go and rebuild and debug it. And we're going to see what happens here. Okay. Alright, we'll let it go through a few times. Let's see what we have for values here. One problem is, though, is that we're not actually adding the O's to so 28, 22, 34, 29, 23, 35. Cool. But yeah, see here, we're not actually adding the O here either, though. So that's a problem. So I think we'll do is when we initialize those, we'll do the O's automatically. So we'll take that out of here. We won't have to do that here. We'll just put them in after, as we add them up there. So we'll keep one of these for the way in which the O's are calculated, and we'll just deal with it from there. Actually, we're off by 1. Guess that didn't look quite right. Alright, so let's go and remove that from everywhere else, though. We also have to take off the else if, because these are going to be the first in the line now. Looks like I did do that with that one. Huh. Let's do it automatically instead of actually intentionally doing it. Actually, it wasn't supposed to have an else if, was it? Or maybe it was, I don't know. Either way. Don't need them, so I'll get rid of them there. Now, back up here where we're actually adding these here. Alright, so, really all we need is this right here. That's the only part we need. So watch, if I go Shift KF, or sorry, Control KF, see it loads it right back into the correct tabulature. I just found out about that a couple days ago, that you could do that. It saved me so much time going through and pushing my damn G8 key. So, I have a question here. Why isn't my frames counter moving around very much? Let me do so. I'm going to stop this real quick and figure out what's going on.